What's up, dudes? Okay, so I was just doing transmissions and a new message just came through. Somebody might find out somebody like fucked them over. Okay? Somebody might be watching readings from the past and it might be unfolding for them the truth. So, Florida might mean something. Thomas Edison or Henry Ford might mean something. So here's the lesson that Spirit wants everybody to remember. So I'm in my mind's eye, I'm back at the Henry Ford and Thomas Edison winter estates down in Fort Myers, Florida. Flora. So Thomas Edison used to own this property, and at the time it was way in the middle of nowhere. And he had a friend who had the house right next door. And somebody might get a cabin or something like that. And he found out this friend / colleague totally betrayed him. And so an emperor might be finding out somebody fucking lied. And it was unacceptable. And so what happened was the friend that betrayed Thomas Edison betrayed him out of the equivalent of what would be $1 million in today's money. And it was his homeboy that he used to go to the cabin by type of a feel. And they had their dwellings side by side for those two. And Thomas Edison had made all these wonderful inventions. And back in that time, if the house caught on fire, there was no fire truck coming out to save them. And house fires happened all the time. And that's why back in the olden days, the kitchen is off on the very end on one side of a house in case it starts on fire. Hopefully it won't burn the whole house down. The kitchens were never at the heart of the home in the deep south. They were off to the side of a house or an outdoor kitchen. And it's on a river. And there was a big dog that Thomas Edison put in that they both used. And I hear a well. And when Thomas Edison found out, he said to that person who owned the property now next door to him, neighbors that hate each other now, he said to him, if your house starts on fire, you are not using my fire hose invention that I made that goes down to the lake, to the river. A lake might mean something. That hose is long enough for both of our houses, I made sure, but I am going to stand there and watch your house burn down. You are no longer going to ever dock up a boat on my dock. You better dig a well because you're not drinking any of my water. And he told him how it was going to be now. What'd the dude do? He sold the fucking property. The betrayer split. Thomas Edison still had his place. And then I believe one person in between, there was maybe a little person in between or something. And then guess who moved in? He made friends with Henry Ford. His 6 of Cup bro homeboy relationship. These two loved being naughty good boys together. Their child within loved hanging out and venting with each other. And when it got cold in the Midwest, they would come down to Florida and work on inventions together to try to find a new rubber for car tires. And so they were tapping different rubber trees they had on their properties. These two geeked the fuck out together. They worked in Edison's lab together. They brainstormed together. They co-created and manifested together. Their wives hung out with each other. Thomas Edison's wife said to Henry Ford, yes, their wives were highly intelligent spectrum-y people too. She said, you know, your friendship is taking my husband away from me quite a bit. How are you going to make it up? How are you going to make it up to me? He said, oh, my dear, here's a night garden for you. And Henry Ford gifted Thomas Edison's wife a garden. Mutual acts of mutual respect between these people. Thomas Edison was very hard of hearing. And they hosted dinner parties sometime when they had guests staying with them and stuff. And Henry Ford was younger than Thomas Edison. It was almost like a big brother, little brother, best friendship. And Henry Ford would be the middle. He would be the person who sat at the middle of the table. Well, actually, Edison would sit at the head of the table, and he would sit right next to Edison. And he would run the whole conversation. He would tell all his jokes. He would do all the thing. He was the dude who made sure everybody was having a good time. But he also understood that his BFF couldn't hear very well. And so what he would do he would prep the joke that he was going to say at dinner that night. And he would have little index cards. And when he told his joke, he would pass the joke over to his friend. And his friend would read it and he'd laugh too. Now, those two really got an excellent friendship. When Thomas Edison died, his son took a vial, put a cork in it, and gave it to Henry Ford and said, this is my father's last breath. That's how close this friendship was between these people. And when those two got together and their brains played with each other, they manifested all sorts of cool ideas and inventions. And so, yeah, I'm going to find a link for the Thomas Edison, Henry Ford Winter Estates. And Spirit wants us all to take a look. I'll find somebody going on a tour through there. And we're all going to go to, I hear Naples might mean something. We're all going to go to Florida today and learn about the friendship of these brilliant minds. And then I hear the vagabonds. So these dudes, somebody might go glamping or camping or something like that. An RV might mean something. A Tesla might mean something. Ford might mean something. So these dudes would take time. Yeah, I hear it. Make sure you spend 15 minutes outside every single day. Unless you're busy, then you should spend an hour outside. And for a while, these, it was Firestone, Ford, Edison, and then they would have additional other people. But those three were kind of like the Three Musketeers. And you can see how these people who were very, very famous and popular at the time would dip out, like a reality show type thing. A traveling reality show might mean something. They would dip out of their very busy life and go glamping. And glamping, and it was glamping, because they had a big motorcade behind them. They were using the cars and showing everybody how you can travel with these cars. But they had a whole entourage that set up everything for them. And it was also a public relations event, a PR thing. And they called themselves the Vagabonds. So what Spirit wants to remember, if somebody felt this deep betrayal, if they may have lost somebody, if you change vibrations from a friend or something, if you've been stabbed in the back. I keep seeing the Ten of Swords card, which is card, which is the ultimate betrayal. Spirit, or if you got any kind of betrayal. Yeah, Spirit is making that seat, that house, that cabin, whatever it is, vacant. So your true divine counterpart can come in. We have a lot of divine counterparts in our lives. They're not always romantic, and they're not always sexual. There's a lot of divine counterparts that are destined to work together. So that's an example of twin flames coming together. Two people with their intelligence coming together to co-create something and make something that will help benefit their community. And the place is pretty cool. Yeah. It's a museum. You get to see all these old like Model Ts, all these old beginnings of cars. You get to see all these. If you don't know much about Thomas Edison, he had so many patents on so much cool stuff. And old school inventors. And one of the coolest things too there is they have this little walkway, this little kind of just a wooden footbridge, I guess you would say, a little walkway from one side to the other side of the house. And he installed an outdoor push light with a light switch, old-fashioned. If you've ever been in an old-fashioned house, sometimes light switches, you push them in like a little round button here in the United States. And an Edison bulb turns on above. And if you have a guide, they will point it out to you, and they will allow you to turn on the same light that he touched several times, share the intelligence, light the way. And it's pretty neat. There's also a story, yeah. There was a big fish. A tarpon might mean something. Somebody might be so proud of their child. So Thomas Edison went out fishing with his son, and there was 2 boats, and his son stayed back in like the home base boat, and Thomas and his kind of helper or guide went out in the other boat. And Thomas Edison said, "I'm going to bring back a tarpon." And he went out in his boat and he caught a tarpon. And he was so excited, and him and his helper, his guide, got the fish on the boat, a big one, and went back to go show his son, who was all by himself in the other boat. And when they got back, his son said, "Dad, Dad, Dad, I'm so excited. I caught a tarpon." And he looked, and his son's tarpon was bigger than his. And his son did it all by himself. And he had a death of the ego that day. And that tarpon is stuffed, that his son caught, is stuffed and hanging on the house. So the way that house works, it's a museum. You can't go in it. They don't allow you to go in it, but you can peek through the windows. The doors open, there's like ropes, and so you just look into, it's like you're just a voyeur into this time warp of the past. You're just looking through the windows, you can see all the different things. It's very, very cool. So some inventors might be getting activated. How exciting. And what Spirit has to say is, you can't find Mr. Right if you're spending all your time with Mr. Wrong taking up that seat. Sometimes Spirit helps us out, and it can seem like you're all alone and desolate. But before you know it, your soul family will appear. So Spirit is hooking Six of Cups relationships together. A Six of Cups relationship is somebody from your past life or your past in this lifetime. This is somebody where you go to a party and you're like, I like you. I just met you, but I feel like I know you. Come sit next to me. Yeah, let's laugh. That's a Six of Cups relationship. You did know that person in a past life. They were your friend. Or somebody from before whatever milestone you're on. Somebody from your past. Somebody trustworthy. Somebody that makes you laugh and play. Your inner child's BFF. So get ready, darlings. Here comes your Six of Cups. You guys are going to come up with some really great ideas. All right. So, yeah, if you're just getting the betrayal, just remember, this is setting you on a new path. And your pain wasn't in vain. All right? So all of my readings are interactive. I'm going to go find something on YouTube about the Thomas Edison Henry Ford estate. And let's all watch it today. Let's go on a little vacation. All right, I'll put it down in the comments section here of this reading. If you don't, all my readings are interactive. That's where you'll find Starseed transmissions. I'm an activated Starseed. If you don't feel comfortable clicking the link, I totally understand. I promise all my links aren't nefarious. They just go right to the video. But I also include the title so you can copy the title and paste it into the search and the video will come up. All right, peace out, love ya. Have fun on your fantastic inventors trip to Florida. How cool.